What's going on, Orlando Magic fans? You guys are here with the Six-Man Show Postgame Live presented by Rock'em. Sorry to disappoint, no producer Kevin tonight. Jonathan here. Kevin has the night off. I am here hosting tonight's Postgame Live, again presented by our presenting sponsor, Rock'em. Your Orlando Magic with the 111-99 win in Detroit over the Pistons. Biggest win of the year? Probably not. But this time of year, as the schedule starts to lighten up, the Magic have now gotten through that brutal stretch. You're now really just in the point where you should win the games that you should win, and that's exactly what the Magic did tonight. We'll talk all about this game and more. I see a lot of you are here in the chat already celebrating the victory. What a win. Again, on the road. These afternoon sort of matinee games are always a little bit weird. Magic got off to a sluggish start in this one. But Franz Wagner, the story in this game, especially in the second half, just a fantastic performance by Franz Wagner. And the Magic get the win, folks. Want to talk to you all really quickly about the presenting sponsor of the Postgame Live show, our friends over at Rock'em. Rock'em is the world's largest sock store. They are located directly in Central Florida. Everything from their day-to-day operations, the marketing, the manufacturing, shipping, all of that happens at their headquarters in Orlando. And they're huge Magic fans. We're super happy to partner with them this season. Wanted to take the opportunity here and just go through a little bit of the offerings that Rock'em has. Let me go ahead and pull those up here. So first of all, let's celebrate the all-star Paolo Banchero here, rock'emsocks.com. You can get the Orlando Magic Paolo Banchero face stack socks here. So if you want to celebrate our all-star, you can do that by going to Rock'em. And you can come here and you can just go through their entire Orlando Magic collection here. Even if you're a Magic Star Wars fan and you want to blend those two loves and those two passions together, you have the ability to do that. With the Magic Empire socks, you've also got the Grogu socks if you're a fan of The Mandalorian, a fantastic show. And my personal favorite, the split face mascot socks with sus face there. So even if you're not looking to get Orlando Magic socks, if you're into other, pop culture things, we talked about Star Wars, but Disney, Marvel, Harry Potter as well. Rock'em is the place to do that. And you can get 20% off your order from Rock'em with code MAGIC20. A big thank you to Rock'em, as always, for partnering with us and for sponsoring the Postgame Live show. Let's see what's going on in the chat here. No, Kevin, I know people are really, really upset about that. A super chat here from Dennis. He says, like and subscribe. Make this #1 Magic chat. Franz is that guy. From the only hero, Brian Legg says, big Franz energy. Thanks, Praises says, hit that button, Magic fam. And Brian G here, Paolo should be the cover athlete for the next 2K game. I don't know if he's there yet, but definitely eventually. I think he'll find his way onto a 2K cover here eventually. And then Brian Leggs with the hush emoji. Franz after the big three in that second half hits a three, put the Magic up. I think it was 7 or 9 at that point, and then just hushing the Detroit crowd. I always like a good hush to the crowd. Jeff Turner has hit a few of those to opposing fans as they've been on the road this season. Always really appreciate that. But I want to talk just a little bit about this Magic game. So really, it was another sluggish start for the Magic. Get down early. Detroit starts to build a little bit of lead in the first quarter. Magic end up coming back, but Detroit still up 5 after that first quarter. Magic find a way, play a little bit better in that second half to take the lead into the half. And I just couldn't help but feel throughout this game that the Magic were just sort of playing with their food, if you will. I tweeted that during the game. I talked about it in the post-game hit that we post to Twitter and Instagram, to our social media accounts after every single game before these post-game lives start. And that's really, in my opinion, what it felt like. The Magic were playing with their food, know that this Pistons team has been struggling all year long and felt like they could just sort of put their foot on the gas when they needed to as it got late into this game and sort of cruise comfortably to a win, and that's exactly what they did. I don't know that I love that. Part of me is just you're on the road. I know it's, what was this now? The fifth game of this 6-game road trip. Now you're 4-1. I believe it is 4-1 or 3-1 on this road trip so far. And just don't mess around with this one. Yes, Detroit has struggled mightily this season, but a team like that, you just don't want to give them any sort of confidence. Yeah, so it's 3-1 now, 4 games through this road trip. You've got one more Tuesday at Miami to end it, but you just don't want to give a Detroit team who has been playing better as of late, since they snapped that 28-game losing streak. They've been playing better. Still have talent on that roster. Jalen Duren was awesome, especially early. Jaden Ivey was really good in the first half. They still have Cade Cunningham. You don't want to give a team like that any bit of life. And it felt like the Magic did that for a bit too long. But then as this game progressed, Franz Wagner completely takes over in the third and fourth quarter. 38 points, matching his career high. 27 points, I think it was, in the second half. Just really went crazy. If it wasn't for Franz Wagner, this game is probably a little bit closer than it is. The Magic implemented that death lineup. Jonathan Isaac, Wendell Carter Jr., Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, Jalen Suggs to close this game, which for the last several games now, the Magic are closing with that lineup and just defensively put this game to an end. Franz Wagner covered the offensive load for most of the second half and into the fourth quarter. And then when the Magic needed stops again, they go to that death lineup, and they're able to take care of business again with the 111-99 win. Let's go back to the chat here, see what some of your thoughts were here. Daniel Hidalgo says, no more minutes for Cole, free AB. I don't want to say no more minutes for Cole. Let's go ahead. I know we're going to take a look at the box score here in a moment. But Cole Anthony, in almost 11 minutes in this game, left, seemed to tweak. I don't know if it was the ankle or the knee, whatever was going on there. Had a sort of a mix-up on a screen with Jalen Duren, and he left the game. But 11 minutes for Cole, 0 of 3 from the floor. Had 1 rebound, a steal, and a turnover. Cole has been struggling offensive lately, and we're sort of at the point in the season where now that we're getting healthy again and the schedule seems to be lightening up a little bit, at least on paper, it really feels like if Cole Anthony can get back into a rhythm, the Magic are primed to go on another win streak. Now that the team is getting healthy, I was asking myself this during the game. Yes, maybe we were overlooking the Pistons. You have this big game coming up on Tuesday against Miami. But now that we're getting healthy, why does it not feel like we're getting back to that level that we were in November? And I think the offense in that second unit has a lot to do with it. Joe Ingles hasn't really looked the same since he's come back from injury, although I think if you give him some more time, he'll be fine. But Cole Anthony, not being able to take advantage of those other team second units and sort of get going offensively, I think that's had a lot to do with why it feels like we're really not able to get to that level. Because the starting lineup is mostly performing the same. They're playing just about even with the other team's starting lineups, but early in the season, it was our starters would play just about even, then our second unit would just come in and totally overwhelm you. So I feel like that's been a bit of an issue there. Going through here, Janine Richmond, 4th game of the 5-game road trip. Yep, yeah, appreciate that correction there. Michael Martin, Franz Wagner, 22 years old, Paolo, 21, and an all-star. My warning to the rest of the league, get us while you can. We've been saying that for a while, Michael, but it certainly feels like that right now. Dozier says, Franz and Paolo, 58 points on 56% shooting. You really just love to see it. When those guys got it going, Paolo struggled a little bit offensively tonight, at least shooting the ball himself. I thought he facilitated pretty well. But those guys, when both of those guys get it going, teams, it's tough, but they really just don't seem to stand a chance there. The local chef says that death lineup needs to be our main lineup, starting and closing. That's our best 5. I struggle back and forth. I want to at some point pull up their net rating, that lineup together. It's been a few games, so it's still a relatively small sample size, but they just seem to dominate every single time that they're on the floor together. Are we trying to ramp up Jonathan Isaac's minutes so we can get closer to that potentially? I still don't know if Franz Wagner, extended minutes at the 2 is the way to go, but right now it's working. Especially to close games, it's working. That's really inarguable. Matt says, at some point, Cole has to get out of this slump. Right when he does, we're taking it to another level. That's exactly what I was just talking about. Cole gets it going, we're going to be just fine. Yannick says 6th seed for now. So, yeah, Miami plays the Clippers in about 15 minutes here, and Indiana plays Charlotte in about 15 minutes here as well. If the Clippers and the Hornets are able to give us some help there, and Miami and Charlotte both lose tonight, then we're going to be in a pretty good position. We're gonna really start to like where we are in the standings, and everything that's been going on the last few weeks. You tell us that you've got a good chance here, to be the 6th seed in the East, as we are here in the beginning of February. I think all of us will really take that. Do you believe in said 22 stepped up on the court and said all-star me? Now, I know that it seems like Joel Embiid, at least, has been ruled out for the all-star game, and Scotty Barnes, I think was named his replacement. I don't think Julius Randle has been ruled out just yet, so sort of wait to see what happens there. I would assume Trae Young probably gets implemented there, but Franz is making a good case. If he hadn't missed those games, maybe he would have a real case for the All-Star game there. Artos, Gary Harris shot well from 3. Give credit to Gary. Gary was great in some minutes there. Thanks, Praises says, Jonathan, I know Kev doesn't like to talk hypothetical trade pickups. With the deadline approaching, you have opinions or thoughts on moves. We're going to be recording a new episode of the Six Man Show tonight, so I've got to save some of that stuff for the Six Man Show that we're recording. That'll be up tomorrow morning, so stay tuned and tap in. We'll talk a little bit about trades tonight, as we just have, when that episode comes out tomorrow, we'll only have 3 days before the trade deadline, so we will talk about that for sure. Michael Martin says we'd have to go 7-25 the rest of the way to match last year's record. Let's not worry about matching last year's record. The expectation should absolutely be to exceed that. And then Dizzy Timsky says a good lead guard would be big. I do think there's something to the fact that Markelle hasn't been closing these games recently. As much as in the past we have valued his ability to organize the offense and get good shots late in shot clocks and late in games. We've seen Jamal Mosley really go to this quote unquote death lineup with Wendell and Jonathan Isaac, Jalen Suggs, Franz, Paolo, and those guys have absolutely been delivering. It's been awesome. Adam Landon says, but nobody likes Trae. At some point, the guy is putting up like 28 and 10. I know the Hawks aren't all that great, but from a all-star replacement level, at some point, you gotta give that guy the nod and sort of give him a little bit of credit there. So let's go ahead. Let's go to the box score here. Let me go ahead and get this pulled up for us, and we'll get right into the box score here. All right. Taking a look at the box score here. So first of all, let's go ahead and talk about these Detroit Pistons, who their 15 turnovers really helped keep the Magic in this game at certain points, as the Magic's offense was struggling a little bit and the Magic were struggling taking care of the ball, at least in that first half. Jalen Duren, I don't know if producer Kevin is watching, but this is a guy who producer Kevin and I have fantasized for the last couple of years about, man, if the Magic could get that guy. You just look at him, still, one of the younger guys on that Detroit Pistons roster. And although got into a bit of, foul trouble tonight, just the athleticism and the level of physicality that guy plays with. 15 points, 5 rebounds for him, 7 of 7 from the floor. Jaden Ivey, 18 points, 7 of 12 from the floor for the Pistons. He was great. Cade Cunningham, 18 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals. I know a lot of people, their opinion of Cade has definitely changed over the course of the last couple of years. I still think there's a lot of things that Cade does really well. And if Detroit can build a real roster around him, that's still a really promising guy to start building your team around. And then Asar Thompson, whose defense I was really impressed with tonight, he had a great offensive game as well. 17 points, 7 rebounds, and assists, and steal 3 blocks, 7 of 10 from the floor. But this Detroit Pistons team, once you get away from their young core guys, just not a lot of depth on that roster, and I think that showed its head tonight. Looking at the Orlando Magic, we have to start again with the one, the only Franz Wagner, 38 points, matching the career high, just especially in that third and fourth quarter. I think it was 27 of that 38 came in the second half. And I think there was a stretch where he had 7 or 9 straight points for the Magic. couple of possessions later, Paolo gets double teamed in the corner. He swings it to Franz, who I think had like 31 at that point. Drains the open three. His shooting, by the way, can we talk about Franz Wagner's shooting? Like, since missing, 8 games with the ankle injury, he's been shooting the cover off the ball. Maybe that time away was exactly what Franz needed. Maybe the ankle wasn't too bad. Maybe if he wasn't able to play, but he was able to get out on the floor and just work on that jump shot for, 2-3 weeks that he was out. The arc, his shot trajectory looks so much better. Looks like he might have a little bit of a higher release point since coming back as well. So we might look back, if this shooting continues and if it carries into the postseason, we might look back on like, hey, it was sort of a good thing that Franz missed that time. Let him get healthy. Let him work on the jump shot a little bit and come back. And he's just been shooting the ball so well. But Detroit just really didn't have any question or really have any answers for him whatsoever. Rockham added at the top of the box score screen. Yeah. Don't know what's going on there. Paolo Banchero, 20 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists. Great game from Paolo, although wasn't exactly knocking down shots. I think it was Ryan Bass shared that. I think this is his 6th straight game now of 20 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Last guy to do that was Tracy McGrady, who ended up setting the franchise record at 7 straight games. So Paolo, I think, is just 1 game shy of that now. If he can put together another 25-5 night, he's going to tie Tracy McGrady for a franchise record of games with that stat line. So Paolo just taking advantage of those double teams, giving or taking what other teams are giving him, right? If they want to double team him, they want to stop him from getting to the rim, he's going to find the open teammate every single time. He's doing such a great job of that. Wendell, 7 points, 4 rebounds, but just, again, an incremental piece of that death lineup. Played great defense tonight. Jalen Suggs, big in that first half and keeping the Magic in the game. I think all of his 9 points came in the first half, but came at a really critical time where the Magic's offense was just kind of sputtering. Jalen had a few big plays and hit a big shot to keep the Magic in the game there. Markelle Fultz, 8 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Joe Ingles in 15 minutes, just 3 points. Definitely missed a couple of threes early in that first half that it felt like the Magic needed. But again, Joe Ingles, as he's working back from the injury, I think it's just going to take some time for him to get back into a rhythm there. Gary Harris, was great, especially in the second half. Made some big plays, hit some big shots for the Magic, getting to the rim as well. 10 points for Gary in 24 minutes, just his second game back, returning from injury there. Mo Wagner with the punch off the bench. 10 points in 20 minutes, 5 of 5, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. And I don't know how many screen assists, him and Franz running that pick and roll as he got going. Jonathan Isaac doesn't have to score, but 5 points, 6 rebounds in 21 minutes, just making a heck of an impact defensively. Like Jonathan Isaac on the floor, again, a +9 in this one for the Magic. J.I. gets out there, and it just seems like the Magic tend to win all of the minutes that he's out there. And you look at his, I know we talk about single game plus minus not being the greatest stat in the world or the best thing in the world, but when he's out there, he just makes such an impact. And the Magic just keep winning minutes that Jonathan Isaac is on the floor, and he's being rewarded, in that the closing minutes and getting those minutes. So shout out to J.I. Just been really, really great. Talked about Cole already, just shy of 11 minutes, just the 1 point, 1 for 2 at the free throw line. He's really got to find a way to get things going offensively. And Anthony Black, it's so crazy that this team is so deep that guys are coming back into the lineup, and Anthony Black just can't seem to find his way onto the floor, especially in that first half, as like the point of attack defense for the Magic was really struggling, and Detroit was just getting into the paint and getting to the rim at will. It felt like you really could have used Anthony Black in this one. So go back here. All right, going back to the chat now. Rich Collab says, let's give Cole time off for 3 weeks. I don't know about that. He's going to have a good stretch of time off as we get closer to the All-Star break here, in a week and a half or so. So there's a good potential that that's going to do Cole some well. all of these guys really, apart from, it seems Paolo, who's going to be the guy that's really featured in All-Star Weekend, but the rest of these guys just need to get some rest. Like Jalen Suggs especially, we joke about this all the time, but the dude just looks perpetually hurt. It's just sort of always hobbled around there. Jay Pulauskas says, Dell starts off with 3 stupid turnovers and 2 missed free throws. Cole is not better than AB right now. Ruin the kid with this crap. Love you guys for the Magic passion. I don't know about ruining AB. AB seems like a pretty resilient kid. I know this isn't the ideal scenario for him right now. I know he would much rather be playing, but at the same time, I just think the kid is like the ultimate teammate, wants what's best for the team. Although he's frustrated, definitely going to be happy with the win. And yeah, we've talked about Cole. He really just needs to figure it out offensively. I like the way that he's competing. Just seems to be off right now, and that's unfortunate. Hopefully he's able to get it back on track, because if he does, and he just takes this team, especially the second unit, into another gear entirely when he's when he's got everything going offensively here. Nick Monks, every time they try to get a mismatch on Suggs, he just gives you a beautiful steal. Yeah, the Pistons tried to post up Jalen Suggs a couple of times tonight. I think one time he got a deflection, the other time he got a steal. Very Drew Holiday in that sense. I don't think he's quite the post defender that Drew Holiday is. As he continues to mature, maybe get a little bit stronger and just gain some more experience with that. But yeah, it's always incredible when, especially that kind of lineup is out there. If it's the death lineup that we're talking about, it's like you're not running a pick and roll to try to hunt switches, because there's not a mismatch out there. There's no advantage that the other team's offense can try to take advantage of. So I just love we talk about the way that this team has been built, the size, the length, the defensive versatility, and now that everyone's healthy, we're really getting the first chance to see what that looks like and sort of see what Jeff Weltman's vision for this team is. It will be interesting to see if this isn't the final version or iteration of this team, but just sort of what Jeff Weltman and the coaching staff and the rest of the front office, what they see as areas that the Magic need to improve in, and sort of what moves are they going to make, whether it's this trade deadline that's coming up Thursday, or if it's this offseason, or throughout the next couple of years, what moves do they make? Where do they see again the defensive versatility and the length and everything like that? How do they continue to build that around Paolo and Franz? Adam Landon, I'm still in favor of bringing in Brogdon. A lot of people definitely are. Thanks Praises says, Isaac on defense gives me Dwight flashbacks. There's definitely some of that. He doesn't play quite as above the rim as Dwight did. Like, he was just such an explosive athlete. But J.I. gives you just more versatility, I would say, than even Dwight did. As great as Dwight was, I'm just J.I. gets switched on to anybody, and I'm just completely fine with that. A lot of criticism of Cole tonight. I understand the frustration. I just keep going back to if he can figure it out. If the Magic aren't going to make major moves within the season here, if Cole can figure it out, this team can almost, I don't want to say instantly, but you feel really good about their chances of just getting right back to that level that they were playing at, in month for most of the month of what month was that? November, Thanksgiving, all that kind of good stuff that was going on. Stephen Luong says Wendell's circus shot and one, got to make it on SportsCenter tonight. Early in the game, we were texting about this game. That was like the play of the game at one point, and Luke joked like, "Hey, the best play of this game so far for the Magic completely happened by accident." He just sort of throws that up and draws a foul, and ends up bouncing off the glass and going in. But yeah, that play was a lot of fun. Everett says Coach Mosley needs to do better in reading when to put in the right players in the game. Too often we lose leads because of poor rotations. I don't know that I would totally put the blame on Jamal Mosley. Could he be better in certain situations? Probably. But this death lineup that he's implemented with those guys, that's entirely Jamal Mosley's doing. And implementing that lineup. And in the last few games, those guys are absolutely dominating. So where it is fair, give criticism. But hey, where it's fair, let's give Jamal Mosley a lot of credit as well. Michael Martin says, I found out about some of these players' agencies. Brogdon, for instance, is with Clutch Sports. So is DeJounte Murray. Those Clutch guys, it seems like for the most part, they end up going where they want and getting where they want. So I don't know if either of those guys have Orlando at the top of their wish list, if their respective front offices are looking to move them. But if they are, it seems like those guys sort of always end up getting what they want at the end of the day. Want to take a look at some of the games around the league here. Let me go back to this screen here. Get out of here with your Pass the Rock ads. Want to go around the league like Kevin usually does. Suns blew out the Washington Wizards. But as you look across the league, all of those games are really getting the tip off right now as we speak. So if we go back to the standings here, Boston Celtics, 37-12. I have a question for you guys. I may not know exactly what's going on here, but Doc Rivers is being named as the head coach of the Eastern All-Star team. I might be an idiot, but since when does it not go to the team with the best record in the conference, which right now and by the All-Star break will most likely be the Boston Celtics and Joe Mazzulla? Did I miss? There's a reason that Joe Mazzulla can't be the coach. I don't know. I might just be missing that, but I thought that was pretty funny that Doc Rivers was hired like 5 minutes ago, and now they're talking about that guy coaching the Eastern Conference, All-Star team, and he doesn't really seem interested in that as well. If you coached the year before, you can't do it again. There you go, Luke Sylvia, perfect. Thank you for letting me know. Totally forgot that little tidbit there. So I guess that makes sense, but still super weird that Doc Rivers could potentially coach in the All-Star game when he's coached the Milwaukee Bucks for all of 3 games or something like that at this point. But Boston still sitting there atop the Eastern Conference. The Milwaukee Bucks sitting there at second. Cleveland at third. New York at 4. They're now Knicks are 5 full games ahead of the Orlando Magic. Philadelphia sitting there at 5th. You don't know what's going to happen with Joel Embiid. It seems like his treatment plan and his eventual possible return this season are still up in the air. I think we'll hear more about that as we come out of the weekend. But they're 4 games ahead of the Magic, and then they're the Magic are sitting at 6 in the Eastern Conference. If you told us February 4th, forget about the rest of the games that are going to be played today. That Indiana game and against Charlotte and Miami, taking on the Clippers. Forget about that. If you told us back in October that February 4th, especially after that month of January and how brutal it was, if you told us that the Magic are going to be 6th in the Eastern Conference, I would have been doing backflips back in October. So in the moments when you may get a little frustrated with this team from game to game, totally understandable. We all have those moments. I get there myself as well. But Magic have now won the last 3 games in a row, have this big one against Miami on Tuesday. And that's a big one because if the Magic lose that game, they lose the season series and the head-to-head tiebreaker against the Miami Heat, when it looks like those teams are probably going to be pretty close coming down the stretch here. So that game on Tuesday is going to be massive, potentially, for the Magic as we get closer to the postseason there. We've talked about this, but Indiana sitting at 7, Miami sitting there at 8. If both of those teams win tonight, they would move back into 6 and 7. Magic would move back down to 8. The Magic could possibly move from 8 up to 6, back to 8, all in one day today. So we'll have to keep an eye on those scores throughout the evening here and see what happens. And then we have Chicago there sitting at 9th. They're 4 games back of the Magic. And then the Atlanta Hawks sitting 4.5 games back of the Magic at 10th. And then Brooklyn, Toronto, Charlotte, Washington, Detroit, like some of these other teams that we thought were our peers, like going into this season, those guys are basement bottom dwellers, for most of this season. So again, you just have to feel really good about how the Magic have been playing. Really this entire season, they've had great moments, they've had not so great moments, but overall sitting at 27 and 23, 6th place in the Eastern Conference. A week and a half before the All-Star break. Are you kidding me? We will absolutely take that. Okay, last thing I want to do here, we're going to take a look at the Magic's schedule coming up just as producer Kevin does. So Tuesday, they'll be at Miami. That game is going to tip off at 7:30. So those Eastern time zone games, we're used to those always usually starting at 7:30. Don't forget that one's going to be at 7:30. And then Thursday, you were just in San Antonio taking on Wemby and the Spurs. But Thursday, the Spurs are coming to town and we'll see them again. And then Saturday, you've got that game against Chicago, which, no Zach LaVine the rest of the year. Who knows if Chicago sort of goes into just blow it up mode, like if they've finally realized that core that they have isn't really going to take them much further. Maybe they decide to move on from that. Who knows? But you've got to like the Magic's chances. 3 games here. Then you've got the TNT game, which, again, a lot of you are coming to that game with us on the 13th versus Oklahoma City Thunder at home. And then Shaq's jersey is going to be retired after that game. But you've got to like the Magic's chances. I mean, if you can get that win Tuesday in Miami, Magic have a decent chance of a nice little 6-game win streak before Oklahoma City comes to town. So those are the games that we're going to be looking at this week. Looking forward to that. Let's go back to the chat here. So everybody let me know, I'm an idiot. You can't coach the All-Star game 2 years in a row, which I sort of understand, but it's like, hey, you can start in the All-Star game consecutive years, right? Like, hey, if you're the best coach in your conference 2 years in a row and you like coaching the All-Star game, maybe you should be allowed to coach the All-Star game multiple years. But I don't know. Weird. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Captain Turk says, thanks again, Jonathan. Always informative and entertaining and handsome. He didn't say handsome. I added that for myself, but appreciate that, Captain Turk here. Some more stuff about Doc here. Everett Martell says, we are the only team that can beat the Celtics in the playoffs. Can we beat the Celtics in the playoffs? I don't know. When those guys really, get down to business, pretty good team. I think we saw that, a few weeks ago in Boston. Soul Train says, I'm looking forward to Thursday. I always like looking at various trades around the league on trade deadline day. That's always a ton of fun. I do my best to keep the phone around me, during those stretches, because you just never know when a blockbuster trade is going to happen. It could happen before Thursday. Could happen 5 minutes before the trade deadline. A lot of times there are still trades that come in after the deadline because teams just have to be on the phone with the league office by the time that the deadline rolls around. Why did you say AB is frustrated? Did he say something? Shannon asks. Excuse me. I think AB is frustrated just because I think he wants to be on the floor. I have no intel on that. Just knowing what kind of competitor he is and how much he enjoys playing and contributing to wins. Is there probably a small part of him that's frustrated that he's not playing? I'm sure. Just like I would hope that there is for anybody on the roster, like guys like Chuma or Goga who aren't seeing the floor. I'm sure that they're happy with what's going on with the team and the way that the rest of the team is playing. But are those guys at least a little bit frustrated because they would rather be playing and would rather be on the floor contributing to those wins? I would think so, and honestly, I would hope so. But Shannon, it's a great question, but that's just totally speculation on my part. Luis Rosario says, when is Ben's next Six Fans show at the Kia Center? I can look that up for you. I'll tell you what, Ben, or not Ben. You asked about Ben. Lewis, tune in. I hate to do this cop out, but tune in to the Six Man show tomorrow, which we're recording tonight, and I promise I'll provide you an update on that. Can't think of that off the top of my head there. Adam Landon says Wendell usually balls out against Chicago. Absolutely does. So looking forward to that. Luke Sylvia says, hell nah, we can't. I don't know what Luke Sylvia is saying hell nah, we can't about. I don't know the context there, so I'm missing that there. Missed the game. John Irwin says, missed the game. Who was the standout? Franz Wagner. Franz Wagner, again, was absolutely incredible. 38 points tonight, 27 of those coming in the second half. He was 17 for 25 for the game. In the second half, he was 12 of 15. Just all-star performance. I don't know any other way to put that. Luke Sylvia says, can't beat Boston in a playoff series. Probably fair. So that's what Luke was referring to there. And Michael Martin says, Boston can do everything we do defensively and then some. We cannot match their shooting, and that's the biggest difficulty right now. That is probably a pretty fair assessment there, Michael Martin. All right, folks. I think that's probably going to do it for this one. We've been going, just about 35-ish minutes, somewhere around there. I do my best to fill in for these with producer Kevin being out. Appreciate everything that Kevin does with these. We're now 45 plus games into the season, and he's definitely been carrying the load for these and does such a great job. It's fun when I get to jump in and pitch in a little bit for these, but appreciate everything that you guys all do. Magic have been playing pretty well, 3 games in a row again. Big one coming up on Tuesday. Definitely want to get that win. I know this is going. Just really quickly going to say, don't forget, me and Luke are recording the next episode of the 6-Man Show tonight. Love you guys. We're going to let the beat hit one more time, and I'll let you guys know. Let's go, Magic. Thank you guys so much.